Manga is not just a format. It's a cultural language, if you could say. It's how post-war Japan processed trauma. It's how modern Japan negotiates identity. And it's how millions of people explore philosophy, morality, technology, love, death, and power through ink and panel. This is something the great Jack Kirby eternalized in all of us as Americans. For those who are not Japanese, that would be our equivalent to that, the comic books and Marvel and superheroes. From the cinematic revolution of Osamu Tezuka to global phenomena like Attack on Titan, manga has evolved into one of the most influential storytelling mediums on earth. But how is it different from American comics? The Jack Kirbys, the Jim Lees, the Scott Morrisons, the Greg Capullos that we all look up to, the Stan Lees. Why are manga villains often more sympathetic, which is something that you often see in this sort of literature? And why is suffering central to growth? I think that might be a common denominator amongst both sides of the spectrum here. And what uniquely Japanese ideas are embedded within these stories? Today, we're not just talking about manga as entertainment. We're studying it as literature, as philosophy, and as cultural psychology by having a conversation with a dear friend of mine, self-proclaimed manga artist Jared William. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Digestible.
This is the Digestible Podcast. An easy conversation to consume. You are listening to the Digestible Podcast, and Joseph is your host, and sometimes he has a guest. Do 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 do.
All right, go ahead. Kick us off.
So, Navajo, have you ever heard of the term isekai?
I have.
What? All of a sudden you have? Earlier you did it.
I heard it. Like, you told me like 2 minutes ago.
Oh, okay, well, we were going to break the magic, man. You're supposed to come back in, but all right. Since you already spoiled the, all right, we're exposed, okay? This is vulnerable. We did start an intro, but he had a sneezing fit.
Transparency.
And we had to
Yeah.
So we had to redo it.
I sneezed about 20 times, and so if I sound like I'm dying, it's because I nearly did.
Dude, that was impressive, dude. I was like now he's just doing it on purpose.
No.
So, this episode, we are talking anime. No. On this episode, we're talking manga.
And isekai.
Not anime. And isekai. My favorite subgenre? No, we can't do that. You can't use that, dude.
That's too edgy,
No,
though, huh?
you can't do that. That you can't do that. No, we will get in trouble.
Canceled for that one.
Yeah.
A man of Eastern descent. So I had a woman come up to me one time, and I had barely met her not too long ago, and she had known that I was Native American, so she comes up to me, and she goes, "Hey, you're not a hoe, right?" Well, you're what was the word? You're hip, man. You're hip.
I'm with it. I'm hip. I'm jive.
Mm-hmm. He can jump.
I'm bad. So Navajo, you ever heard of a manga genre called isekai?
I have not.
So this episode we're going to talk about manga and not anime, because anime is there's two. Okay, first let me just say there's two different kind of people who like anime.
Okay.
There's the subs and the dubs.
So
now,
I don't know.
There's subtitles and dubbed over voice. So they like the cartoon with English speakers, or they like watching it with subtitles.
Okay.
But that's all we're going to talk about in anime, because that is another rabbit hole. But today we're talking manga.
Manga.
And
I think my voice is cracked.
It's manga. It means comic in Japanese.
That is what it means.
There is a couple of different kind of I guess you would call them demographic categories.
Okay.
And then there's story genres, and then there's like sub genres Yeah.
Subgenres. Okay,
So
yeah.
genres are basically genres. Like you have action, adventure, romance, horror, fantasy, and slice of life.
Okay, okay.
Slice of life is something like where you follow along the characters as they live everyday life, and like something whimsical or just mundane happens and you just follow along as they live their life.
Right.
And then there's a so the main part of it is there's a demographic category. So there's something called shonen.
Shonen.
It's SOSHO with the little roof.
Yeah.
NEN, shonen.
Okay.
And this one's mostly aimed at teenage boys. It's action adventure, like Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, and One Piece.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So these are all
Now,
subgenres.
no, that's like the main category, like
Ooh,
demographics.
okay, okay.
So you got shonen, and then you have shoujo. That's
Okay.
the same SHO some beginning, and then Joe. That is manga aimed at teenage girls.
Ah,
That's like Sailor Moon. Kind of like
like
more.
if Powerpuff Girls were Asian.
Yes,
Okay, gotcha.
and then there's seinen. Seinen? Wait, hold on. How do you?
Welcome to this pronunciation video. Today we will be focusing on
Gosh, a whole
young
video?
adult to adult men. Say it all together. Seinen. Seinen.
Seinen. That would
Seinen.
never have guessed that. Pronounced as seinen. So seinen, yeah, I was right. All right, now there's another group called seinen. So this one's aimed at adult men. So it's like darker themes, like more crazy, complex stories, violent or psychological.
Like Attack on Titan?
Yeah, Attack on Titan. Then there's another one
Okay.
called Berserk, Tokyo Ghoul,
Demon Slayer?
Demon Slayer. Oh, Demon Slayer might be shonen, like kind of aimed towards the teenage boys.
Okay, okay.
So this one's more like the dark, edgy kind of ones. And then you have Joseon.
Okay.
This one's aimed at adult women. So it's like realistic romance, life struggles, work, relationships.
That sounds
So
very bland.
they kind of feel like they're closer to like fantasy romance.
Gotcha,
Kind of
gotcha.
like yeah. So those are the main like big four. Shonen and seinen are like the two that I would really talk about because those are the ones I kind of really got into.
Okay. Oh, so you
'Cause
got into these.
Oh, dude, yeah, I read manga for like years.
Really?
Yeah, so the main one I would say would be shonen, One Piece.
So what got you into it? When did this start?
Let me see. I would say maybe when you were like maybe 7, 8 years old, I watched my first anime. It was called The Gray Man, like D, the letter D, and
Yeah.
then Gray Man.
Gray
And-
Man.
D Gray Man. And
Okay.
I watched that one, and the episodes I couldn't find online anymore, and it just ended. And I was like, you can't just end this, like a series like this and not tell me what happens next. So that's when I found out they're actually comic books. So I was like, oh, there's a comic book that continues the story. Like, let me go
Yeah.
look for this. And then I found it, and I started reading it, and I was like, this is lame.
So you didn't like was it like you didn't like the manga or you didn't like the written version?
I didn't like the written version because I had to read, and it was backwards.
Oh,
It goes from right to left when you read.
yeah.
And I was like, what kind of nonsense is this? And I was totally against it when I first seen it. And I was not a big fan of it when I first discovered it.
Cool. So this
But-
is early 2000s then. So what One Piece has been out since what, the 80s or the 90s?
Oh, yeah, so 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I think 25 now.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like one of the longest running cartoons in anime manga.
Yeah.
So this story, I did not like One Piece when I first watched it. Like when I first got into it, I was like, this is lame. The art style is stupid. The whole character's dumb and I hated it. I invested the first couple episodes and I said, this is lame. Why does anyone watch this? And then I ran into, I think it was Guilty Gear. No, Guilty Crown. Like I started getting into some of these darker ones, like the seinen
Okay.
anime, and I was like, oh dang, I didn't know cartoons can be like kind of like a darker theme and
Yeah.
like psychological. I was like, whoa.
Well, like before you go on, you're leaving me on a cliffhanger. What happened in The Gray Man? Like, what was that about?
Oh, I found the manga and I started trying to read it, and I didn't know where I left off because I came into the middle of it. So
Okay,
I came into the
what was
middle
the
of it,
story
started
about? Like,
watching.
who was the Gray Man?
Honestly, I don't remember, dude. This is like this is a long
Gosh,
time
now
ago,
I gotta look
and
into this.
it's not really that good.
Is it garbage? Was it
Yeah.
like a gateway, kind of like a gateway drug for you to get into the world of manga?
Yes, it
Okay.
was a gateway because I just came across like random YouTube video and it had this is when they were able to upload full episodes of anime to YouTube.
Yeah.
And so I was watching that and then I got into reading manga and then like I started finding all these weird darker theme mangas like there's one called Death Note. Death Note? Oh dude, that
Death
is
Note.
crazy.
That sounds crazy.
So, Death Note is a manga. They made it into anime as well, but the manga you follow this guy named Light, and he gets a book from this death god,
Okay.
and he drops his book, and it's called a Death Note. And any name you write in it, they die.
Oh, okay, okay.
So he's the son of a police captain. He gets this book, and he writes a criminal's name in it, and the criminal dies.
Yeah.
And he, as soon as he grabs the book, he's able to see that death god, and that death god's just floating around, following him, and just wondering what he's going to do with this book.
So, how did he acquire? How did he? You probably don't even remember this, but how did he approach the said death god and acquire the book?
He dropped it. He dropped his book into the human world,
Oh,
and he was walking. He picked it up, and then seen this demon-looking creature, and was like, "What are you?" And no one else seen him,
yeah.
and only you can see him if you touch the book.
So now is he like,
So
is he cursed to forever hold the book? Like, what does he have
no,
to do
no,
to get rid of it?
you can give it back, but once you give it back, you lose all memory of it, the book.
Okay. Well, then here's my next question. This is just a psychological exercise. Okay.
Hmm.
If that were you, okay, you're in this guy's shoes. Imagine yourself, you're in this world, and you're walking home from. Did you go to Gary or Pomona High?
I went to Gary for a little
Okay,
bit.
so you're walking home from Gary, and you're coming down Franklin, right by the cemetery,
Hmm.
and you find the book. Okay, and you think it's a black book. Reference to our first episode, graffiti. Go ahead and watch that. You think it's a black book, so you pick it up, and immediately before you, you see some ominous demonic figure. How do you go about discovering the power of this said death book?
It says the in the front of the cover says Death Note.
Okay, so your mind, you see the creepy thing, and you see this thing says Death Note. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't pick it up because that book looked pretty gross.
Yeah, that's true. You wouldn't like, especially too if you seen the demon thing. Knowing you would drop it.
Yeah, but also too, back when we were young and teenagers, before the internet, people used to do weird stuff by leaving things on the ground
Oh,
and watching people pick it up.
yeah, I forgot about that. Who was that? I who was telling me about that? It might have been you.
Yeah, I had a situation happen to me when I was younger, and I seen a Polaroid picture and wish never I picked it up. But yeah, back in the day, people used to do a lot of weird stuff because they didn't have internet access like
Yeah.
we do now.
So your first inclination would just be not to pick up the book.
Yeah, I wouldn't pick up anything
Okay.
because plus Pomona is gross, dude. You
It
don't know
is.
what that book was used for, you know?
Yeah. But for the sake of the exercise here, you pick it up, you see the thing, and you
Oh, I
just
probably would have wrote my own name in it, dude, because we're taggers. I would have wrote my own name and I would have killed myself. Well, I think you have to put your real name.
and what if that aspect of you dies? So like immediately after that, you no longer have a heart for graffiti.
That would be interesting. But that actually would be my name because that is something I would identify as. So I
Hmm.
if you really think of it, if your name is some like a graffiti name is something that you identify as.
Okay.
So if I wrote down my name, my graffiti name, I was writing myself down.
Okay, but you
So
also
even though it's not my legal name,
yeah,
it would still be writing my own name.
but you also identify as male. So if you wrote male, would you die?
I think all males would die.
Wow. Okay, so say you write your name,
No,
right?
I don't think that. I think it has to be like their actual full
Yeah.
name.
So let's say you
I
write
think
your
that's
let's say you write your full name. There has to be more than one of you, right?
yeah, that's true. But I think it's the intent of the person's face, and you also have to have their name.
I
I think
think
that's how it
so.
worked.
That's the only way it could work because then you would have people. If John Smith picks up the book and writes John Smith, I mean, you have half of Earth's population gone like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Yeah. So then you got story genres. So besides just like the main demographic like groups, you have each story genre where like action adventure. That's like I guess you would call Attack on Titan, One Piece. Like those are all adventures.
okay,
Then you have like romance, like romance stories and like would they, won't they, do they like me, don't
like
they like me kind of storylines.
Doki
It's
Doki Literature
all
Club.
teenager based. So it's like always high school teenager based. So
Okay,
it's always like, does that girl really like me? And should I confess that I really like her? And back and forth kind of storyline.
so okay, so then my question here. Hopefully, this doesn't derail us. But what I had known about manga or manga, I hear that that's a topic of fierce debate amongst that community is pronouncing it right. I just say manga. It's probably like a jalapeno jalapeno or jalapeno kind of deal. Like they all kind of work, but there's really only one right way to say it, and it's jalapeno. And so maybe it's like manga, but we just say manga. Anyhow, I forgot what I was gonna
That
say.
it's whatever way you kind of want to identify. Like
Yeah.
it's the same thing. You're saying the same set of letters. It's like you're saying croissant or croissant.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's
That's
like
true. Croissant.
come on, dude. It's another language that you're reading, so we're gonna read it with the American like
Yeah. This is
accent, so it's
America.
fine.
Manga. Man. Gay. Oh wait, no.
No, not the same.
Okay, that one was not the same. I did not even do that on purpose. I actually, yeah,
But that it was true. America.
America. Maybe a few years back.
Dude, manga gets crazy. There's all kinds of weird storylines. There's like mangas about cooking where they have battles where they battle each other to see who cooks better.
What? Is that Cooking
Yeah.
Mama?
No, it's so it's kind of a slice of life, but also comedy.
Okay,
So this guy it's called food battles.
that's a
And it's
very
so
original term.
Yeah, so but it has a Japanese name. I'm not even gonna attempt it, but it has a crazy premise where this girl was born with perfect taste buds,
Okay.
and she can taste any bad cooking, and she calls out all these different chefs and like is real like picky about what she eats.
Okay.
This kid grew up cooking against his dad in like a little restaurant, and his dad decides to go on a trip and shut down the restaurant.
Hmm.
And for him just to go to keep going to school, he's mad and wants to keep the restaurant open. And his dad tells him, go to this school and try out if you got any skills. He goes there, and everyone that goes there in the beginning gets kicked out by the girl. She's like, they're supposed to use eggs and make a top class kind of meal. And
Yeah.
she starts kicking everyone out of class. Like, no, none of these stand up to like my food, like, standards.
Okay.
So he ends up cooking a simple meal that it looks simple on the outside, but it's like extremely good, and it's complex flavors. And like when someone in that anime like manga tastes food that like literally blows their pants off,
Wait, so
it
like,
gets weird.
does it kill them? Like, does it?
No, like you're standing there and you eat something, your face gets all like smiling, and your clothes will blow off you.
That is disturbing.
it,
Um.
dude, that's only the tip of the iceberg. They have another a story called Parasite.
Oh
It's
gosh.
where this alien drift down and it tries to go in your ear canal.
Okay.
And so this alien goes and gets it tries to go into his ear canal, and he has headphones on.
Okay.
So it can't get into his ear.
How big is it?
It's like a caterpillar, small.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so it tries to find another entrance. So it
No.
starts going down towards him,
No.
and he starts panicking. He grabs it, and it goes into his arm, and it's trying to
Oh.
make its way inside his arm to his brain.
Yeah.
So he gets his headphones and he wraps it around, makes a tourniquet, and stops the thing from going into past his arm. And the alien only has a certain amount of time once it enters the body to bond with the host, and his hand turns into an alien with like it shoots out blades and stuff. And a bunch of other aliens landed on the planet and took over human bodies, and they eat regular humans, but they're trying to blend in with other humans.
So they look like normal humans.
But they disfigure, and they have like blades and stuff. Like their head will come apart, and there'll be like big old limbs with blades on them.
But can they like sheathe themselves and go back to look like a human?
Yes.
Whoa. Okay. So you might be walking down the street and like your friend Jimmy is like, "What's up, Jimmy?" And then like a massive blade just pops out of his skull and like kills you and eats you, and then he
Slices
goes
you up and
back.
eats you. And
Oh
then it goes back to
gosh.
normal.
And there's no way you can tell like this person's not. Is it like,
Yes.
gosh?
Then they have like regular slice of life where a new kid goes to school and he just lives his life in class, and you follow along, and he joins like an
Like a boy
art
band?
class.
Okay.
No, like an art class, and the whole thing just goes on about like him being in art class, and you just follow his story, how he wants to be a great artist.
Well,
Or there's music ones. There's like any like kind of school club. There's a slice of life manga that kind of follows that.
so that's slice of life. Okay, we'll go back to the parasite thing. You keep leaving me on cliffhangers. I want to find out what happened. So the thing bonds with his arm. Does he survive? Like, does he become like?
Yes, it doesn't go to his brain. So now he's walking around and he has a parasitic arm that fights those other parasites. For some reason, when they see each other, it's just on. They just try to fight each other.
Oh, so the parasite in his arm could tell when there's another parasite.
Yes.
So he won't even know. So he'll be walking and Jimmy's walking by, and then his arm just like reaches out and tries to
Well,
kill.
it's because they look kind of odd. They look like humans, and they act weird because they're aliens.
Wow. What's the name of that one?
Parasite.
Parasite?
Yeah.
How old is it?
Probably like 10 years ago now.
That sounds like a really interesting story. So is he like the lone human survivor?
No, there's other humans. Like there wasn't that many aliens that came down, but there was a lot of aliens that came down.
So how do they like spread like spores or
Yeah, and some of them are just trying to blend in and just they don't really have a purpose.
yeah.
So I don't really know how it ends. I stopped following it. It got too weird for me, and I was just like, huh.
Whoa.
Then there's another story, dude, where this guy gets taken by a UFO, and when he's brought back, he's an old guy. He is completely changed into a robot.
Okay.
That's another thing is aliens and robots and mech suits. Big, that's
Yeah.
big, and like, yeah.
What is that
There's
with
mech.
Japan?
I don't know, but mech suits are awesome, dude. We got to do an episode on mech suits and like kaiju.
Mech suits.
Oh, yeah, kaijus and mech suits, dude.
That does sound like a cool episode, especially on the kaijus.
Yeah.
Or
So,
have you
but-
ever? So I was at Barnes and Noble and I seen a book. So you know how we mentioned bestiaries last time? Like it was on like it's about medieval beast, whatever. This was a book on
Yeah,
Japanese.
we mentioned it and never talked about it.
Yeah, we didn't. We're sorry, guys, about that. We go everywhere. We'll talk about it eventually somewhere. But I seen one. It was at Barnes and Noble, but it was a Japanese version of like all like the Japanese folklore, all like the weird demons like they would have. It was really
Oh, the yokai.
yeah. That's it, yokai.
Yeah, there's a lot. So that also ties in with a lot of like, not horror, kind of like the darker kind of manga.
Yeah.
It ties in like a lot of like, the yokai, kind of like demons and the oni, or like there's all kinds of different kind of spiritual things that are twisted.
Yeah. And
But
gosh,
slice of life, and then my favorite one, dude, isekai, where we first started.
isekai.
Isekai has to be my favorite one because it has a character that's in every single isekai, and his name is Truck-kun.
Okay, first tell me, what is the genre of isekai? Like what is that?
Isekai is transported to another world.
So if you could have any genre of and manga, but if you get transported to another world in that story, it is therefore an isekai?
Yes. So it's like our world doesn't have magic, or like you would say, doesn't have magic, doesn't have like mythical creatures, and doesn't have mech suits, right?
Some would say.
Yeah. Some would say, and that would be correct.
Debatable.
Yeah, but you end up in another world, either summoned by the god of that world, or through a magical spell, or you get killed by Truck-kun, which is a truck driver that somehow kills the main protagonist in every single story.
There's an
They
actual
always get-
name for that?
Yeah, he gets hit by a white delivery truck, and they call that driver Truck-kun. So truck.
This is an actual
and-
thing.
Yes.
So
you
he's
can
like
look
an
up Truck-kun.
archetype.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Like Stan Lee in all the Marvel movies.
yeah, but they just because they never give that person a character. They never describe who it is, like how, like why they made that mistake, and they never show the person driving. So we just call that person Truck-kun.
And is the Truck-kun native to only the isekai genre?
Yeah, because it always kills the main character and sends him into the other world. And
So is it the rule though? So like, does every isekai story have a Tracoon?
no,
Okay.
some people you can get teleported from your world, like you're just sitting in class,
Yeah.
and like a circle, a magical circle underneath you would pop up, and you would just get transported, and you'll be before a bunch of mages and a king, and they tell you they want you to fight the demon king or the demon queen, and you're the hero that's going to save the world, and you have magic powers and other cool stuff.
So that's
And
isekai.
then that's part of it. So there's a
Okay.
bunch of different subclasses in isekai, because you can also show up there and then you're excited because you heard about isekai and you're like, I've been isekai, I'm going to have all this power. And you turns out you're just you in another world of magic, and they're disappointed in you and they kick you out of the castle, and you have to fend for yourself in a magical world where you're just yourself.
So
Yeah.
what's a what? Give me another isekai example as far as a manga.
Oh, there's one dude called ReZero. This one
Re
is sad. Yeah, RE and then
Zero.
a colon and then zero.
Okay, ReZero. Okay.
Starting life in another world. That's what it's called. ReZero, starting life in another world. This one's sad. This guy gets teleported to another world, and he's supposed to help save the princess. Or like, yeah, the princess and her two maids. But he fails miserably and dies.
Okay.
But instead of just dying, he gets reset back to when he first came. And he has to relive everything all over again.
Can he
So his
change his
whole
fate?
struggle. No, so he keeps trying
Oh,
to find a way to save everybody,
yeah.
but he keeps dying and getting reset back to day one where they don't know him or nothing, and he has to start all over again and carry that weight of having all your friends murdered in front of you and you couldn't do nothing.
That's horrible.
Yeah, so he can't, and then he can't tell anybody about it, and because the curse that, or the part of the thing for his power is he can't discuss and let anyone know he has that power.
Yeah.
So he can't tell them, I've died about 100 times trying to save you. He like every time he tries, it stops him from talking.
Wow. Does he end up
So he,
saving them?
for the most of the story, no, he just constantly fails and fails and fails, and it just breaks him down, like because constantly he can't save everybody,
Yeah.
and it's sad because he's just a regular kid,
How old is he?
a teenager. So this is all high school age,
Gosh. Who would come up with that?
dude. It gets crazy. Isekai is one of the best like story trends because you can have fun where you get transported into a world where you're overpowered and everything's like a comedy version,
Yeah.
or you can go into a world where the kingdoms are corrupt and they kidnap people and they just have there's like a giant slave trade market and stuff.
Wow. Okay, so this is what I'm learning here. So for those in the third chair, I know next to nothing about manga. And so I'm learning all of this first time. And I guess I've never realized until now how broad at this point manga is not even a genre. It's its own thing. Like I would
It's just a comic book, dude. It's
yeah.
just another format. It's like a graphic form of a story. Then they have another one. So we're not even talking about what are those called? Koreans have their own kind of manga.
They do?
Yeah, let me see. It's called Korean.
They're called Kim stories.
Oh, it's called manhwa. Koreans have their own story called manhwas.
Manhwa?
Yeah, so Manhwa.
Manhwa.
Yeah, so these ones are cool. So if you picture a manga as like reading a book backwards to us Americans,
Right?
like you would start from the last page and you work your way to the front. Well, a manhwa is like a scroll. So if you think of it like if you put a whole story, like a comic book, on a scroll,
Okay.
you would scroll all the way down, and it's just a full story on like one giant long piece of paper.
It's called a
But it's
manhwa?
yeah,
And are these like what kind of stories does manhwa tell? Is it like same thing like comic book?
same thing. It's just a comic book, but it's just the style. Instead of reading it backwards, you kind of like you scroll up the street, like up the screen. So they're mostly read on like phones and tablets. That's where they kind of blew up on.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So you just scroll up, and you scroll for maybe 20 swipes, and you're still not even at the bottom.
And how does the physical copy look? Is it like like an actual scroll like you're saying?
No. It's a regular book.
Oh, okay, okay.
But they have a story called Solo Leveling.
Solo
So
leveling.
that one is kind of a isekai. Because then there's another sub stories, dude, where the world you're living in, some kind of cosmic being tells everyone in the world that you guys have in the next month to get ready because towers are going to pop up and gates are going to pop up in your world, like a portal gate.
Okay.
And you have to challenge that to close the gate. And if you don't, monsters are going to escape out of that gate and take over your world.
What do you mean challenge that? Like stop the gate from coming?
It's basically you go into the gate and you take on the dungeon. So they're like portals to dungeons, and you have to clear the dungeon to close that gate.
So like a Zelda kind of thing.
Yes, but it's in our world. This pops up, and people start getting powers, like magical powers, able to shoot, throw like fireballs and stuff.
So is that just a specific manhwa story, or is that like the overall genre of manhwa?
That's kind of like overall genre of manhwas. They do a lot of that. Kind of like a
Okay.
dungeons invade our world.
Yeah. I've never knew about that. So I'm learning a lot right now. So Korean literature that's what's the word? I
It's
guess
just comics.
indigenous to Korean, yeah, Korean comic. Manhwa.
Mhm.
Wow. Why did I say that like Owen Wilson? Manhwa.
Wow.
Wow.
Manuel. Wow.
Ka-chow. Gosh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. So stories there's so many different stories you can just get deep into, and there's so many type of genres, and you can find anything like you kind of want to find. A lot of it is demon possession. Surprisingly enough, that's what a lot of these stories are.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're talking about yokai earlier, and it got my wheels turning. There's an old 3DS game called Yokai Watch. Do you remember that?
Yes.
What was that about?
It's Pokemon, but ghost. You would catch yokai.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then you would fight them. You would fight them against other yokai.
that's what that was. Yeah, because I remember it being like a Pokemon kind of deal. I just didn't know why. I thought it was kind of like a knockoff, kind of like a Digimon kind of deal. But Digimon came out
Oh.
before Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
No, Pokemon came out first. Digimon wasn't originally supposed to look like Pokemon,
Yeah.
but the people ran out of money and they just started drawing whatever they wanted.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's why like a weird little puppy character turns into like a scantily clad angel woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, then one dude looks like a dog, turns into like a T-Rex robot.
Wow. Yeah, I'm looking
Yeah.
here. It says Pokemon started as a video game, and Digimon just started as a digital pet toy.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, Pokemon was Pocket Monsters.
Is that what that means?
Yes, that's what originally came out.
Wow, I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah, but you know what's crazy though, dude? Is that you know a manga artist.
I do know a manga artist,
And I heard you got to talk to him.
I did. I got to talk to him for about 2 hours, and we're gonna plug that in. We're gonna have that interview in this episode, and we talk about his manga that he's writing. He's not only writing it, he's drawing it.
Yeah, so he's doing the story and inking it.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
That's it.
very impressive.
But
Which,
man, I'm telling you, dude, like once you understand the complexities of like how many different subgenres you have in like manga,
yeah,
you would understand what he was talking about better.
yeah, I wouldn't know. So I'm trying to think right now, based on what you told me, if his is isekai, and I don't think it is.
No, I think his is slice of life.
Yeah, it yeah, but I don't know because even I don't really know the whole plot to it because he's playing it close to the vest as far as the rest of the plot.
Oh, okay. So
So
he's teasing it. He's teasing
yeah,
it. He wants people to come read it.
yeah, you have to read it to find out because I interviewed him for 2 hours, and this is what I can tell you about it. Japanese guy in high school has some sketchy stuff going on. He has a checkered past, and he's trying to figure out what's going on.
Yes, that's a main another anime manga kind of plot.
Yeah, it's heavily inspired by Persona, and if you didn't know what I was talking about right now, you might have thought I was describing something like Persona. But a very, very interesting story he's got going. So we're gonna let him talk about that. Jared William, welcome to Digestible.
Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah,
You did the intro all in one take. That's crazy, bro. Good stuff.
yeah, all in one take. Walk up that podcast magic. You know, I might have done that for 2 hours. I might have messed up a million times. They'll never know. But yeah, we're excited to have you. Have you been looking forward to this for a while? You know, we've been trying to make this happen.
Yeah, man. I know always been a dream of yours to have a podcast listened to by the world, and I'm really happy to be part of it now.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I remember talking to you. For those in the third chair, I grew up with Jared. Gosh, since what, second grade?
Second grade is when I remember you coming to church, man.
Yeah.
I remember the day. One thing I always remember about you in Super Church, you always wanted seconds for snack. I mean, we all wanted seconds. But there were specific people that would give us seconds, like
Yes, there was.
certain guy. He would give us like thirds of cheese balls or goldfish,
Oh,
and that's how
yeah.
we got
He
so
was a
fat within our
champion.
middle school years. And then some people would give us one serving and water, and that was like the day we were have low energy.
Yeah, that was concentration camp stuff right there. That was not right. That was child
No.
endangerment right there. Yeah, but I remember telling you for years, dude. I remember in middle school telling you I wanted a podcast. And this was before, you know, I mean, Joe Rogan, I think, has always had a big platform. I mean, but he really just launched into the stratosphere within,
He did.
I
I
would
never heard of
say,
the guy.
probably within the last 6, 7 years or 8 years around there. And,
Mhm.
you know, but I had been wanting to do this before Joe Rogan launched into the stratosphere and before everybody and their mom had a podcast.
If only you were born a few years earlier.
Dude, I know. If I was born just a few years earlier, like I would have done it. It was just, and then by the time, you know, my life's barely starting to get put together, I finally have the opportunity to do it now. And so here we
Yep.
are. We're well behind, man. But
And
you
you're
know,
already growing too. I just checked your YouTube channel. You're at 13 subscribers. That's actually pretty good.
we're
for
at
just like
14
starting a
now.
podcast.
We are now at
Heck
14.
yeah. Heck
So
yeah.
we're getting there, man.
Hopefully it'll skyrocket to my audience after this is over.
Yeah, I hope so.
I have a few people who are waiting on like waiting so desperately for chapter 1 to be released, and I know they're gonna be wanting to hear this because I'm gonna talk about my manga today. Haven't really done that on any of my socials. I've only shown like drawings, but nothing
Yeah.
story wise. So people are kind of in the dark about that.
And that's what I'm interested in because there's nothing more powerful than a story. I mean, they shape cultures, they shape civilizations, generations. They're all defined by stories, you know. And this is something that I was talking to an individual the other night about the power of stories and something Jordan Peterson think what you want about him, but something he said that I thought was that I think is profound is his idea of something called the metaphorical substrate. Now, he gets a lot of flack for being too convoluted. He's
Yeah,
like,
I know that
yeah,
guy.
and you might hear that term and you'll automatically think that's just another word salad. Uh, but if you hear the context of what he's talking, he's basically saying that there are certain stories, certain myths that are the undercurrent, sort of the underlying motif and structure that societies and cultures are formed. They
Yes.
shape civilizations, they shape empires, they shape kingdoms. One of his points he made was how in every civilization where the image of the mother and the child is degraded or destroyed, the nation plunges into chaos.
Hmm.
And he made that argument with the Roman Empire, different empires throughout history, and just purely through story and how story is oftentimes a reflection of the, how should I say it, the status or the condition of a society. And when you lose the power to tell stories and you censor stories, you become canceled for stories. You
Oh
lose a very
yes,
powerful thing because there's
plenty of
something,
those.
we could have dialogue. Me and you could have dialogue. We could disagree about politics or whatever. And we could have that dialogue, and it's very important to have that dialogue. But stories are, you think, not as offensive. I would say people are more receptive to a story than they are to openly disagreeing with you about your belief. And so stories are very powerful avenues and mediums by which different views, different
They come together.
beliefs, they come together. And we deal with them and we hold on to them for generations. And I mean, you're doing that with this manga.
Yep.
And it's more than just I want to write a story to entertain people. It's, you're dealing with, you're trying to tell a story. And I'm curious as to what story are you trying to tell?
Well, this is a story. Okay, it's a story that I came up with all on my own. It's heavily influenced by a lot of different things in my life, like video games, movies. But I'm gonna say this a lot. Probably the whole cast. There's 10 characters. I'll get into their names later, but specifically, each one of them have a past, like we all do,
Okay.
and each bit of them have a little bit of my story and my life in them.
Yeah.
Like, we'll take the protagonist Akamitsu Ikeda. He's the 21-year-old artist who's moving to Tomodara Heights. His backstory has a lot to do with his dad and his sister. I don't have a sister, but my dad, I had a lot of trouble growing up. Um, uh, Specifically in middle school, my dad got sick, and there's like a whole different um, arc with my dad that I say arc, but like different things that happened with my dad. Like he
Yeah.
was the best dad
It
growing
was a
up.
journey.
Yeah, it was a journey. Basically, yes, of course. My dad was probably is the most awesome man on this planet. And when he got sick, I spiraled into like a mental hellscape. And when he passed away, that's when everything broke loose. I won't go into too much detail, but basically, my friendships were on the were on the rocks. My social life was on the rocks. It was basically like it was dead at that point. Like I did
Yeah.
not want to go outside. I didn't want to go to school. But thank God, my mom sent me and my brother to a good high school, and now I have so many friends. Obviously, I have my day ones, my church friends behind my back, like you. But a lot of these things growing up are put into these characters.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Specifically, I'll tell you the backstory of Akamitsu, the protagonist. He is 21 years old, but he's actually he has a sister, had a sister, and she disappeared one day. And all his life, he's been he had a very good life growing up, like from like the womb to like I don't know 4 years old. But he doesn't remember that. Obviously, no one really remembers how they grew up from 4 years old. But his dad disappeared one day, and his mom and had to take care of him and his sister. But shortly after that, his sister and his mom disappeared too. His mom, he knows about his mom. His mom, his mom left because she was a bad person. But I have a plan for her mom, for his mom, and all that. But his
Yeah.
sister disappeared because they went to the same orphanage because the mom wanted to give them up. Akamitsu and the sister's name was Ayana Ikeda. So Akamitsu
Okay.
and Ayana Ikeda went to the same orphanage, and like around 5 years old, that's when they were separated. Akamitsu doesn't know what happened to his sister. He's been trying to figure out what happened to his sister all his life.
Okay.
Everyone tells him that his dad passed away, but no one knows how. And his sister disappeared. Doesn't know where to though. So all his life he's been
Wow.
researching. Like he's been all his life he's grown up in different orphanages. He's been moving from place to place.
Yeah.
He's never had like a solid best friend to talk to. He's always had like acquaintances and like people who look after him in the orphanages that could answer his questions to a certain degree, like what his dad's name was, like what was his occupation.
So
He
he's
was a
searching for
scientist.
identity.
He's searching for identity, but to a certain degree, because in all of his life in the orphanages, he's always liked to draw. And this is
Yeah.
where like I put myself into. Like I always loved to draw every time growing up. My older brother is a huge inspiration to me. I've always drawn like Super Mario, like cartoons, like SpongeBob, all that my whole
Yeah.
life. But you could attest to this. I was never any good. Like I
I
would
vividly
always
remember those days.
yes. Actually, I'm not gonna throw you under the bus, but you're part of the reason why I kind of quit art in middle school because I
Do it.
drew
Throw it. Throw it.
uh, I drew I drew him a picture of Homelander. I colored it. Albeit the coloring was pretty good. I was a good colorer back then, but the anatomy and the face looked awful. And I remember I showed it to my mom. She was like, "Oh yeah, that looks good." My mom was always a very supportive mom
Yeah.
too.
Beautiful.
Uh, and then I showed it to you, like, oh, my mom thinks it's good. Then surely he must, because you were the artist growing up.
Yeah.
You were the better artist growing up. Like, I'm gonna show Joseph and let's see what he thinks about it. You laughed in my
Oh
face.
my God.
You laughed in my
Let,
face.
let
I'm
me
like,
not in my
oh
defense, so there's no defending that. I was a really mean individual in high school. I did not withhold criticism, and
no, but
I'm
that's
deeply sorry for that.
no. I actually I'm very glad that that happened because throughout all of high school I quit art. This is not for me. Drawing and sketching was always like a hobby to me
Yeah,
anyway. I was never really any good. But then I had my first phone when I was in my sophomore year of high school, and I got Instagram, and then I started scrolling, and I saw all these arts, like all these art
yeah,
projects.
the
Like
great
that looks
scroll.
so cool. I want
Yes.
to do that. I want to do that. Funny enough, manga was like not in my head. I'll get into my story. We'll do a quick sidetrack actually. How I got into manga was of one video game,
Yeah.
Persona 5. Persona 5 Royal is probably the best video game on this planet. Fight me. Persona 5 is it's a story about like these high school students that all have a past and they all go to this school, and basically more of the story, it's like a whole 100-hour long playthrough
Yeah.
of you getting to know these friends and how they bond together and they defeat a supernatural entity in the end. And at the very end of the playthrough, it feels like you're leaving actual friends. I know it sounds cringy, but it's actually like a very deep story,
Yo, it
and
is.
that's how I got into art. Like
Yeah.
after I finished Persona 5 was the time when Tears of the Kingdom for Switch came out,
Yes.
and then I was actually sketching one day, out of the blue. I felt like sketching. It was my 11th grade, my
Junior.
third year of high school. Yeah,
Yeah, junior
yeah,
year.
junior year of high school. I was sketching. I was doing homework, and then I started sketching Sidon from Tears of the Kingdom, the fish guy. And I look back at it and like, you know what? This is actually pretty good because I was following a technique that I saw on Instagram like a minute earlier,
Yeah.
like with anatomy, like like the Loomis method with the face and like all like the shapes. Basically, the body is made up of shapes with when drawing, and that's when I started sketching it. Like, you know what? I can probably do this again. And that was after I beat Persona 5, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try and draw anime. But all my life I did not draw an anime at all. Never watched it. I've only watched like Dragon Ball and stuff like that. But I never was like into anime, like never like into any of these new animes now you see nowadays.
Yeah.
And then after Persona 5 thing, I'm gonna try it. and I loved it. It was a big inspiration. There's a bunch of accounts on Instagram that inspired me to do this, but I started recording my art and like putting it into like short-term videos. And I tried Instagram first, but I didn't like get anywhere. The Instagram algorithm is brutal. It's probably the worst algorithm, second to YouTube. But I put it on TikTok instead, and I got like 200 likes, 300
Yeah, I
likes,
mean that
video
TikTok
after video.
revolutionized media
Yes,
marketing.
exactly. And I posted all of my art on TikTok. And if you scroll my TikTok now, my old TikToks, a lot of them are privated because of how bad they are, but I've kept a few. And you can see the improvement from
Yeah.
like all those years ago. 2023 is when I started my TikTok
Well,
account.
I've seen the improvement, man. I remember growing up. I mean, I still have drawings you made me, and I keep them, for sentimental value.
No.
But that
Uh,
they're not the best, but you start somewhere. There's no shame in that.
exactly.
You
Everyone
begin.
does.
Yeah, everyone starts off drawing like a two-legged cow, with their finger paints. But yeah, I remember you got into Persona, and I didn't think much of it because I mean we were both avid gamers. Then I
Yep.
kind of stopped gaming. Golly, probably
Probably
latter
shortly
latter
after
latter
Persona,
end of high
huh?
school. I stopped gaming as
Yeah.
much, but I knew you were an avid gamer. So when you started playing Persona, I just kind of thought, oh, it's just another game he's getting into. I didn't think much of it, but to watch sort of how that, because high school, it's a very metamorphical stage of development in young adults. And yeah, I was going through
Mhm.
change, you were going through change, but to watch the impact that Persona had on you, I thought it was beautiful. And I remember when I left Texas for 2 years and moved out there, I came back. Uh, you were firmly established in who you were as an individual now from when I left. Kind of before when I left, I was kind of like, well, I never seen Jared as the anime guy. And I still
Mhm.
don't see you as the anime guy. That's a whole different thing. Like, you're
Yeah.
not
I'll
right
get
there
into what
binging Dragon
all
Ball
that
for
too.
12 hours a day.
Yeah.
But when I came back, you were heavily inspired by Japanese culture, down to everything, your music, the games you play, the things you watch, what you read, what you write. And I thought it was awesome to see that because,
Yeah.
you had discovered who you were as a person, your plans, your dreams, everything you wanted, and the journey it took to get there. That's why I think your manga is so profound because, like you said, it's such a you're pouring yourself into your work. It's not just a story to
Yeah.
tell; it's your story. And
I think part of the reason too, like I finished Persona 5 in high school and like everyone in that game is in high school and a lot of the characters resonated with me because like they either like lost a family member, they're going through like depression, all that. I was going through it in high school. I had good friends surrounding me, but like I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was
yeah,
going to do after high school. All my friends were going to 4-year colleges, see like all these different
yeah,
colleges. And like didn't have any interest in going to college. I did not want to do. I basically wanted. I remember I wanted to do. Um, gosh, what was it? I wanted to be. I wanted to be a streamer in freshman year. That quickly fell
I
off.
remember that.
Uh,
Yeah,
and I actually don't remember what I wanted to do. Uh, Sophomore and junior year of high school, I did not know what I wanted. Even parts of senior year, I did not know what I wanted to do. I wanted to work full time somewhere, get some money saved up, and then go to college after because I was still
yeah,
deciding on what I wanted to do. But with Persona, it really not only like the characters and all that stuff, but the story and like how it shapes the characters and how they become these better people at the very end. That's what inspired me to like, I want to do something like this too. It wasn't until after I beat Persona 3 actually. That's Persona 3 is a much deeper story in my opinion than Persona 5. I cried my eyes out at the end of that game by the way, at 3 in the
yeah,
morning. That's when I solidified like, you know what, I'm gonna like make my own story. I have to because this inspired me. Persona 4 is also a great video game, but it didn't really inspire me to do anything with my creative processes. But
yeah.
Persona 5 and Persona 4 really are what like shaped. I'm sorry, Persona 3 are really what shaped my personality. Because like now, if you know me in real life, I'm always listening to Japanese city pop from like 70s to
Yes.
like
See,
early
and I didn't
90s,
even know that was a
and it's
genre of
not.
music until you
Yeah, me
showed it to
neither.
me, and I was like, "This is amazing." It sounded like Mario Kart, but way better.
Exactly. And a lot of Nintendo's music was actually inspired by the GOAT, Masayoshi Takanaka. I love that guy. He's probably my favorite artist of all time. But one of my friends in high school, we were on a senior trip in Florida. We went to Disney World, and he put some music on the background in our room. It was a long day, and it was "Ready to Fly" by Masayoshi Takanaka. And he's like, "You should listen to this." Like, okay, it's fine, whatever. Then he started going off on that guitar. I'm like, oh wait, hold on a second. This is fire. I'm gonna put this on my playlist. And then
Yeah.
after that,
You were hooked.
all of my first year, like that from that point on, 2023 to 2024, just Masayoshi Takanaka, no one else. I was in the Spotify Wrap that next year. I was in the top 1% of listeners of Takanaka that whole year. That's how much I listened
Yeah.
to Takanaka. Like I
Dude.
didn't have any music taste. Like before my music taste was like OSTs of like video games.
Yeah.
Persona 5 actually. Persona 5, Mario Kart, I don't know, anything
They
else. But
probably you
then
probably they thought you fell into like a hot pot bowl, dude. I bet you the algorithm was like, what happened
yeah,
to this guy?
yeah, exactly. My algorithm started showing me a bunch of things. And that's another thing about my manga too. Music is a gargantuan part of the plot.
Wait,
Gargantuan.
wait,
I
hold
don't
on.
think people
Could we
know
just
that
stop
yet.
there? Could we just stop there? I
Yes.
am so deeply impressed that you just enunciated that with such ease and with such an aura of like as expecting everyone to know what that word means. You know, like that's I love it. So say it again, just because it pleases my ears.
Gargantuan.
Oh, that's like an ASMR thing. Let me just okay.
Gargantuan.
Yeah. So on this podcast,
Oh, no, no.
we have ASMR moments, and there will be beautiful piano playing right now as you listen to me utter the word gargantuan. Gargantuan.
Bro, get me out of here.
That's me rubbing my microphone with my
You're
lips.
cutting out on my end.
Gargantuan. That concludes our ASMR segment.
Great. ASMR, what will
Yeah,
ever do
we have
without
that every once in a while.
ASMR?
We needed some gargantuan ASMR there. But anyways, continue. It was a gargantuan moment. So
So yes, music is actually a gargantuan part of the plot of. By the way, I don't think we've ever name dropped my manga. It's called Vessels of Lost Paradise.
yes, that should have been one of the first things I stated. Vessels of the Lost Paradise coming out first chapter this year.
Yes, Vessels of Lost, not the Lost Paradise.
Ah,
Vessels of Lost
Lost
Paradise.
Paradise. Okay, okay.
Actually, yeah,
Yeah, I'm
never
actually
mind.
there's a difference, a three-letter one to be precise.
No, music is a very big part of the plot. It actually, City Pop is actually the main vibe of the whole manga. You can't really portray, in my opinion, you can't really portray City Pop vibes in like the static lens of like you see like a bunch of these old Japanese videos of like people dancing in like clubs to like different artists of that time. You can't really capture that motion in manga, but I'm gonna try my best. I think I have a unique style, at least in my opinion, that I'm gonna try to like produce in
Yeah.
every panel, especially when we get to like chapter 2 and 3. That's when the city pop vibe will start like hitting the main story. But like there's a lot of different artists, like obviously they're inspired by real artists, but they're my own characters with their own designs, their own names, their own backgrounds, and uh obviously fictional music titles and music names and albums and all that stuff, but
Right.
it's heavily influenced by different styles of great artists like Toshiki Katamatsu and Masayoshi Takanaka, Henri, Taiko Onuki, all these different people that I listened to for the past like 6.5 years are like put into this one thing. And all these college students, the main cast, like admire these people like so much.
Yeah.
And these pop stars, not pop stars, like these music stars are obviously like they have their jobs and all that stuff, but their main thing of their life is music, and they bring it to life basically in the city of Tomodara Heights. It's the main setting. And Akamitsu Ikeda, the protagonist, is a huge music fan, like myself. Again, me inserting him into a protagonist,
Yeah.
but um, uh, you'll see in the very first chapter that he knows lots of artists, but he meets a person in the train. His name is Menji Takiharu. He's a music theory major at the school at the city they're going to,
Okay.
and he's introducing him to like a lot of new artists. Like, who's that? Like, who's this? Like, bro, you are a fake music enthusiast if you never heard of this person. Like stuff like this.
Yeah, yeah.
Akamitsu is like, whoa, I never heard of this guy. This is fire. Like, basically, that's already a point in my life inserted into the manga, and there will be many more through our different characters. But that's just like the main gist. And then, yeah, um, all these characters have a deep connection to music. Each and every one of them. Some work in the jazz bar where where they all perform. Like the music stars, what they perform.
Okay,
One's a
okay.
bartender. One's a waitress. Some people, the people, like the main cast, have a bunch of connections to these music stars, and one character specifically, I won't say who it is, but they know what's going on like behind the scenes with the music and
Yeah.
like the persons and the people behind it.
I want to circle back because you gave us a lot of material, and for those in the third chair, we want you to fully understand exactly what manga is and the plot, not only to Jared's manga that he's authoring, Vessels of Lost Paradise, but understanding how it has changed him. And we mentioned a little bit about, how much it reflects your own life, your own journey, and, the plot being part of that. Because I gotta imagine, I got to imagine that this has made you confront so many things in your own life, maybe a trauma, as you mentioned before, about your father, or hurt, or different experiences you've had. They say hindsight's 2020, where you're having to cast your mind back and implement your story into the lives of your characters and into the plot. Because the thing now is you control the plot, you control what you're
Right.
writing, but you didn't control what happened to you. You couldn't. So
Hmm.
in that sense, you experience the plot of life as the character, as your main character. But now you're in the position to where you're the one writing the story, and I gotta imagine that there's some sort of dynamic there that maybe is reflected in the plot that says, is this the way I wish things would have happened? Is this how I wish I would have reacted to these circumstances? Or is it more or less just, here's the character, he's part of me, and what he goes through reflects what I have went through, and the way he reacts is an image of the way I reacted, and you're writing sort of a memoir? Or is it more of what I said previously, more of now you're in the position where you control the plot?
I would say it's a mix of all three, honestly, because there's so many characters to write. But with the main protagonist, Akamitsu, it's basically this is a memoir. Like he went through this. I sort of went through this in my own time and experience. This is how I dealt with it. This is how he's going to deal with it. It's kind of reflecting what they're going to go through together, that they're going to mesh. Like if you know me personally and you read Vessels of Lost Paradise and you finish it, like, wow, I can totally tell that that's what Jerry went through. I can connect all the dots.
Yeah.
But with other characters like Menji or Rin or Yori, they're all gonna be like this is what they go through in their time, and they're gonna make mistakes, and that's gonna dig an even deeper rabbit hole, and that's gonna bring them to an even deeper hole that I could have chosen, but didn't in my
Yeah.
own life. This is how I think it would
Oh,
play out.
yeah.
Like for an example, Jirachi Aranada, he's the bartender in the Strings and Spirits Jazz Bar. That's like the main central hub where all the city pop artists perform. He's a bartender there. Specifically with his character arc, I won't go into too much detail because he's not introduced in chapter one, but he goes through a lot of different things with his friends in his timing, like in high school and middle school. He's friends with another main character, but he treated them terribly. He treated them so badly, and I love all my friends. I was treated badly in elementary school. Like people bullied me for like liking Super Mario. only.
Yeah.
Like all my friends were nerds, but they all like played Overwatch, Call of Duty, Five Nights at Freddy's. I can only restrict to playing Nintendo.
For the
So because
record, I was not one of those friends. So
no,
just
you
wanted to
were
clarify. I was right up there with you in the Mario boat. So
yeah, you were a church friend. My school friends were just not good people. I don't know where they're at today, but
one of them
they
was
were
making
not
rap
really nice to
music.
me. Bro. Oh gosh, he's a good guy though. That guy,
Yeah,
he kind of was hitting on me in a little bit, but then he
he came
changed.
around.
Never, he came around for sure.
Yeah, yeah. We wish him
But
luck.
yeah, but all my other friends, quote unquote, I don't know where they're at today, but they like that's kind of how Jirachi's gonna treat his friends, and that's how he's gonna be shaped as a person when we first meet him in the manga, and how he treats people after that is going to reflect on how he's going to go through things in his life and what's going to happen with his life when he treats people badly again.
Yeah,
The people that he gets around him that he cares about, how's he going to treat them, and how is he going to lose them if he treats them terribly?
yeah.
That's just an example.
So I want to ask then, what did that do in your mind? Because you're imagining and you're putting on paper what could have been, and now I won't even try to compare having went through the trauma you did as a child growing up of losing your father. Um, but like I said, I think there's something profoundly introspective there that you're writing about it now, and you're now fully contemplating through the mind of an adult how far you could have gone in the wrong direction due to what you went through. And now you're saying, man, if I had gone this way, this is how my life would have been. And does that cause some
Yeah.
sort of, uh, emotional turmoil inside, or what did that do to you, that process?
Well, I grew up in church my whole life, so at that time, it really didn't influence. Like, it influenced me like in a pretty deep level. Like I did not want to talk to anybody afterwards. Like my friends treated me like crap, but I had my church friends to always fall back on. So one day I'm at school, the other day I'm at church, hanging out with those friends, and it kind of like balanced itself out a little bit. But looking at it now, I'm thankful for those moments in elementary school where I was taught, like I didn't know crap about the world, but you're actually on the a pretty good track with the plot, because like say with Jirachi, he's, how do I put this without spoiling the premise? Um, Basically, when they make really really bad choices, something's gonna present itself that could offer to like make things better, and like they're either going to take it or not. And like
Oh,
let's say, like for example, like I went through that stuff in elementary
yeah,
school where I was treated badly. If I wasn't in church, I could have taken any different route, like drugs or anything like that, and I could have went down a very dark path. And this is what these characters are going to go through. Like they're going to make
yeah,
some bad choices, they're going to make some great choices, but those bad choices are going to come with consequence, and what are they going to do about it? And a lot of the things in my characters, like with myself, I made terrible choices, I made some good choices, so are these characters, and it's going to shape them and mold them. And obviously once the whole manga is complete, not one of the characters are going to be the same as they were when we first introduced they were introduced. One funny event, I told you about the story of like the concert girl. I didn't get her name or number.
yes,
Whatever,
yes.
bro. That's gonna be a thing in the manga. It's gonna
Oh
happen to
man,
one of my
what
characters.
could
Like
have
all these
been?
different
Yeah.
things. What could have been? Hey, that set the standard for women I want, bro.
Exactly, and like I told you, that's beautiful. You know
Yep.
what you want.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
Now, my next question then is, who's the bad guy here? Like walk me through.
Mm,
So one of the
okay.
things is that I've noticed about manga. I'm sorry, tell me if I'm wrong here.
You're
Is
fine.
that in American comics, it's very clear who the bad guys or the good guys. Batman's the good guy, Joker's the bad guy. Spider-Man's the good guy, Green Goblin's the bad guy. Luke Skywalker is the good guy. Darth Vader's the bad guy. There's no moral ambiguity. Everyone knows whose side are they on, but the thing with manga, I'm so sorry, see it keeps coming back. The thing with
You're
manga is that now, correct me if I'm wrong here, it's a bit more. There's a bit more nuance to the moral positions of the characters and of the villains. Ones there's more gray, I guess you could say, and this is something that actually Tolkien didn't like about Frank Herbert's Dune. Was that
uh-huh.
in Tolkien's Lord of the Rings and in C.S. Lewis's The Space Trilogy, there's a very clear presentation of this person's good, this person's evil, this is this person's
Yes.
journey against that evil, and in the end, the good ultimately prevails against the evil. Whereas Frank
Right.
Herbert's Dune was here's an evil, and here is a lesser evil. And the main characters go on a quest to accomplish the lesser evil. Now, ultimately, you can debate whether or not is the lesser evil therefore good if it is less evil than the other option. If I could,
Yeah.
if this result kills 1 million people, but this one, saves 900,000, but it dooms 100,000. Is one better than the other?
Basically, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Basically,
Yeah, sort of
kind
along
of.
those lines, and so it's that more ambiguity there. And from what I
Yeah.
understand, manga is more along those lines, and that way differs from Western literature. But I'm not the expert on Eastern literature. I mean,
Yeah.
I've only ever ingested Western thoughts. I think the closest thing I got to Eastern literature is like I have this book of haikus that just was really beautiful. It was like
Yes.
really cool strings on it. It was just beautiful book
Yeah.
that I
Shout out
have.
haikus. I started reading those in Big Nate comics.
Yes, yeah. So he wrote one on
Yep.
cheese puffs.
Cheese puffs, Mrs. Godfrey.
Yes, Mrs. Godfrey's English 1A.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
But
gosh,
yeah, but what you're saying about manga and its bad guys, it all really depends on the manga. But I am more on the Dune kind of side. Like, of course, there are great stories that are told. Like, this is the bad guy, this is the good guy, and they clash.
right.
One manga or anime that comes to mind with that is probably Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. I have the manga right here, actually.
What is it
It's about a
called?
quest. Frieren, 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 Beyond Journey's End.
Oh wow.
It's about like these magic wielders, and they're on their way to a demon king's castle. Basically, I won't
Okay.
spoil what happens, but that's like their premise. Like the good guys versus the bad guys, and you see like I would call this Eastern culture too. Legend of Zelda, like let's say just the kingdom. You see Link is the good guy.
Right.
Obviously,
Ganon is
Ganondorf
the
is the
bad guy.
bad guy. Ganon's a bad guy, but like different stuff that like I'm more into, like Persona. I'll start with Persona, but Persona has like hidden evils. Like each Persona game has like uh, spoiler alert, supernatural enemies that are like the main thing. It's actually like Dune too.
Okay.
Like Dune. Like there's a lesser evil and a bigger evil. Like I'll go for Persona 4 for example. No, Persona 3. Um no, Persona 4. There's a person that you think is the bad guy multiple times, but then you find out who the real bad guy is, and then like, oh shoot, it's him. And then plot twist again, there's a even bigger person above that. That's what I love. I'm not saying that's what Vessels of Lost Paradise is,
Yeah.
but another thing like One Piece. One Piece is my second favorite manga.
Okay.
I'll get to my first favorite later. But second favorite manga is One Piece. And in the beginning, the author Eiichiro Oda, he wanted to have the manga to be like not even like super long. He wanted it to end much earlier, but now we're like in the 1100th chapter of
Yeah.
One
How many
Piece. Like he pulled
seasons
out
are
writing.
there? Is it like 19 seasons or
Um,
something like that?
no, there's arcs, not seasons. There's arcs, and
Gotcha.
arcs can be seasons long. Some arcs are like a couple episodes long. Some arcs are like the equivalent of 9 seasons in like a TV show, kind of
Wow.
long. That's how long it is. I'm currently in one of the longest arcs of the show, Fishman Island. It's a slog to get through, but anyways, there's each arc has a bad guy. You either figure it out right away with Luffy and the gang, or you figure it out later. Like the whole journey of One Piece is Monkey D. Luffy trying to get to the Grand Line, so we can pursue the Grand Line to get to Laugh Tale, to get to the King of the Pirates treasure, so we can claim the Pirates treasure and the One Piece and become King of the Pirates. But along that way, there's so many
Ah,
villains.
yeah.
And then more recently, we just got introduced to like the big bad of the world government, which is like the main bad guy.
Yeah, see,
So
that's
stuff
what's
like that.
interesting about Eastern literature because here you have, instead of the hero, which we would say is Monkey D. Luffy, his name, or what have you, uh,
Yeah,
by nature of his trade, he's not a morally just individual. I mean, he's a pirate. I mean, they pillage, they plunder, they steal, they rob for a living. Uh, and yet, he is the main character of the show, and he's going on a journey of selfish ambition, right? I mean, it's not like he's being threatened. He's not trying to save anyone, from what I understand. He's simply trying to claim the treasure to become the pirate king, right? He's going
well, the thing with
after.
One Piece too, Luffy, I think you're kind of downplaying him a little bit. Luffy is actually a very kind-hearted pirate. Of course, he's a pirate.
Okay,
He's an outlaw. He's running away from the world government. But at the same time, he meets new friends like every single arc, and he's helping them out with their situation. Like Luffy will like do nothing to like. Of course,
so
he
it's like
like
honor among thieves.
exactly,
So, yeah,
exactly.
so that's what's interesting about Eastern because it's like what Western literature would do. I mean, what's common with the Jungian archetypes and the way it's structured is you wouldn't have honor among thieves because it wouldn't be considered honor, right? It would be
Yeah,
considered this is a morally gray person. You're anti-hero, like you're you're Deadpool or you're Jason Todd, Red Robin. Not
yeah,
sorry, Red Hood. Red Robin is Tim Drake. So you have those characters, but they're considered the anti-hero, right? They're in between the gray, and the fact that One Piece, your main character is that gray individual. Like that's something interesting because I can't think of a mainstream archetypal story that's been passed down in Western culture where the main character is morally gray, and
hmm
obviously that was Tolkien's biggest, critique of Frank Herbert's Dune was that his main character was this individual that was morally gray, and so the fact that One Piece is that way, I think, is extremely profound.
exactly.
And is that the way your manga's going to be, or your manga's going to be with your
Well,
main
I do
character?
want
Or
I do want to touch on that. A lot of my favorite fictional works, like games and animes and movies and shows, like most of them, I'd say like even probably all of them are morally great people that like come together
because that's
in
more
the end.
realistic, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You can relate to these people. Like
Yeah.
Persona, Joker, he's like a convict, and he was uh, not a convict. He was a delinquent, but he was falsely accused, and then he has to live with his life. He's innocent of the crime he was accused of, but he goes on living his life, and he has to accept the fact that he's now in this small town, or not small town. It's in Tokyo, but like a small place, and he has to like basically meet new people, go to a new school, leave that life behind, and that really resonated with a lot of people who play Persona 5, and that's what makes a main character to me like a great one. Like Luffy, like he's not really that. Like of course, like we don't know anything about like his parents or anything like that, but like we know that he's um like we've seen Luffy since like he was a child. Now he's like an adult now, and that's why people love Luffy so much. Like he goes through a lot of development, even though it takes long time. It takes a long time for him to get that like arc done. But like in the end, he always prevails. He always like is the he always succeeds in the end.
Yeah.
And with Vessels of Lost Paradise, all 10 of my main cast are morally gray people. They are uh some are alcoholics, some are thieves, some are selfish, um, some are addicted to like different things like gambling and stuff like that. And in the end, they're all gonna come to terms with themselves, and they're all gonna become better people. May not be perfect. They might not have all that stuff left behind, but because of each other and because of the thing they're gonna go through in the main plot, they're gonna become better people, and that's what
Yeah.
Akamitsu I'll touch on what Makamitsu is going to be. I'll get into the plot now, if you want me to talk
Yeah,
about.
because
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you next about the plot then, because you have these 10 characters who are morally gray, and the point I made about that being more realistic is that, life is not always going to deal you situations where you're set up to succeed, right? I mean, you're going to
Hmm.
make mistakes. That's just part of human nature. You're not going to be perfect. And so a lot of times that creates a shattered perception of ourselves. We realize this is who I could be, this is who I want to be, but the fact of the matter is that's not who I am, right? And so we look at ourselves like, man, I screwed up all these different times, I made all these mistakes, and we perceive ourselves as that morally gray individual. And so when you come along and you see a group of people who are morally gray with horrible backgrounds and yet they strive together for the greater good, I think one of the most recent and best examples of this is Thunderbolts, the new Marvel movie that had come out a few
Mm.
months ago.
Peak movie.
Yeah, you had this group of people who they're not good people. I mean, but then again, can you judge them? Like I get they're fictional characters, and and this is what it comes down to is that metaphorical substrate Jordan Peterson talks about. It's not okay. You have one person, right? She's an assassin. She did a whole bunch of horrible things, killed a bunch of people, right? The reason why people connect with the character is not because they can connect with killing a bunch of people and
Yeah.
being an assassin from a young age. That's not the reason they connect with the character. The reason they connect with the character is because this is a person who realizes they're a screw up. The person that
Right.
realizes I have issues, a person that realizes I have a past that I am ashamed of and I want to be free of it, and its shadow is over me. There are things in my life that are dark and ugly that I don't want to remember, but they're defining who I am, and can I escape my mistakes? That's why you connect with those characters. So, with Thunderbolts, you have all these characters that they have these backgrounds, right? And I say you can't judge. It's not that I'm saying, we can justify being an assassin or killing a bunch of people. That's not at all what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What I'm saying
Yeah.
is from the perspective that the reason why we identify with these characters is because of the reasons I had just mentioned. Because of
Mhm.
that, we can't judge. We only identify, because to judge is to judge ourselves, right? If we say, look, you're a horrible human being because you loused up, right? You messed up. You did this wrong, all right? You're a horrible human being. It's like, well, I got four fingers pointed back at me, right?
Yep.
Like I'm just as loused up, and so the journey that they take on Thunderbolts to become good, to pursue something higher than themselves, I think is why it resonated with so many people. And so the question I had with your manga is, you have these people that are easily identifiable with because they're morally gray, right? Not everyone's a picture perfect, sort of superhero like Superman, right? I mean, your Boy Scouts hero, everything's perfect, right?
Yep.
But it's the morally gray characters like that resonate so deeply. And so my question is, what journey are these characters on that you are aiming to resonate with your readers?
Yeah. So, that's a great question, actually. A bunch of them come from different backgrounds. I'll give you two examples. I mentioned him already, Menji Takeharu. He grew up. I'll give you his backstory. He grew up in a small town. Hold on, let me pull it up. He grew up in a small town with his three siblings. He was the oldest sibling, right? And his mom was a loving person, great person. But his dad was an alcoholic and a gambling addict. And he, over time, he started like taking care of his siblings growing up. His mom had to work to, like raise the family because they were a poor family in the Japanese countryside. His dad was not really home too much, but his dad, like when he was drunk, he was not like the violent type of drunk. He was like the other type of drunk. Like he wasn't violent. He was just like really loud and all that stuff. He would, but despite his addictions, he still loved his family. He just wasn't
Yeah.
home half the time. This actually is a big inspiration of my mom's dad. Um, he was not home a lot of the time. He was like an alcoholic too, but he had four girls at home and a wife. And he eventually came home and he eventually made up with his family. But with Menji's dad, he got one day he got a lottery ticket. Like he was also a gambler, you know. All his life he's been trying to strike it big, and then one day he got the jackpot. He got so much yen from that, so his family was like super rich now. But at the same time, his dad had liver failure because of all the alcohol he was drinking, and
Okay.
shortly after they got all this money, he died. So literally, all of this wealth is now given to Menji and his mom and his three siblings. And then Minji decided to, you know, I'm gonna be the man of the house now. I'm gonna like take care of my mom and my siblings. I'm not gonna be like my dad. But that's way easier said than done, right?
Right.
He started like high school. He started drinking himself, and like father like son, he started becoming an alcoholic. But he at the same time he wanted to be home to help his family and his parents, his mom and his siblings. But he was always out drinking and partying. And then his whole life he's been listening to music and like he wanted to be a producer one day and like a major band one day. So his dream was to go to the prestigious Tomodara Heights University, and then but his mom had the money to send him there, so why not? So he kind of quit alcohol for a little bit just to get everything settled in, so he can like become make things easier for his mom, stuff like that. And he got accepted into Tomodara Heights University. But this guy is also very superstitious. He doesn't like he thinks there's something beyond the world. Like he's into like all the ghost stories, all like the campfire stories, all that stuff like that.
Okay.
Basically like your last episode on this podcast. Like
Yes.
that basically.
Good plug. If
He
you haven't
loves
watched it,
he
watch it.
loves Yep, he loves the supernatural stuff, and so he was researching all like the hole in the wall like threads online, like what happens at Tomodoro Heights University at night that no one talks about. He started believing all that stuff. There's a bunch of rumors that students disappear around the campus.
Okay.
The staff is horrible. He reads up on all this. He's like, you know what? This might not be so good. I don't want to go here anymore. Like he's letting all these rumors get to him, but his mom's like, you know, you already paid your tuition. You're gonna go. It's like, fine, fine. So he goes, and he realizes that at this point he's alone now, so he can go back to drinking. So he goes back to drinking. That's like one of the main. That's like doesn't resonate with me as a person because I don't drink. But like, let's say like a bunch of people that I know from church or like my friends or their dads or whatever, that's all coming from inspiration from here. Like I always tell people, like there was this one guy who asked me like, how do you come up with all these like complex backstories and characters? Like, brother, find a Pentecostal church, learn their testimonies, you will get lots
Yeah.
of inspiration.
Well, I mean,
That's what I tell
fundamentally,
people.
human life is so profound. I mean, you don't gotta look far.
Yeah.
I mean, you were talking about this the other day about that social experiment in the airport. People not wanting to talk to people. It's like, why wouldn't you
Oh
want to
yeah.
talk to a person? Like they have their own individual, unique human being. There's so much you can pull from. So yeah, I completely agree. I mean, your inspiration
Yeah.
is, I think, more fundamental than you not being an alcoholic or dealing with alcohol in your life or struggling with that.
Hmm.
More fundamental than that, your character's struggle is not strictly alcohol. It's the struggle of going back to what you know is morally wrong and having the desire to overcome that. And
Yes.
so that's something that resonates with every reader, not just those who struggle with alcohol.
And that's the main thing I want to do with Vessels of Lost Paradise. I want to tell a great story, but I also want to resonate with people who are reading it. Like the second example I want to go to is Lila Daidura, one of the
Okay.
five girls that I have in my cast. She is not natively Japanese. She is from the Middle East, but she
Ah,
moved to Japan because her parents are like business people
okay.
and they move all the time. But they wanted to move to Japan because they have a bunch of businesses here in Japan and they're filthy rich, super rich. And one day, people in Japan did not like the family. Like this is all going to like this is not like right away. This happened like throughout the years as she was growing up because she grew up basically her whole life in Japan, but her parents were like major business people there, and the people in Japan did not like the people because they thought they were like scummy people because like they got their wealth from somewhere else, stuff like that. Long story short, they framed the Daidura family from stealing all this money, and it worked. On the news, on the newspaper, the Daidura family was like, oh, they're scammers. They've got their money in filthy ways, and people were outside the estate of the family, like like with like signs, like "Come out, we know you're in there," and stuff like that, like protesters basically. And then Lila and her brother had to grow up, had to go that in high school. They had to go through that in high school, and they eventually wanted to leave Japan, but they eventually broke the rumors. They eventually got themselves free. They got their wealth back. They got their house back throughout all these things. But a big part of their downfall in the beginning was the media and how people were like lying about them and how bad the media today can truly be.
Yeah.
And I forgot to mention this, but Lila actually, her dream is to be a journalist. That's her dream. But she was applying to a bunch of places to go to for journalism, but then the scandal happened with her family, and her parents don't want their daughter to go through the same route as like these people who are trying to mess people up and trying to like frame people and like capture all these people. So they don't want her to go into that life of journalism, so they forbid it.
Okay.
So she has to go to college for a way different reasons. She doesn't want to go to college for anything else but journalism. But through her parents forcing her, she has to go to Tomodara Heights University for business. So she's in a very rough situation. She does not want to be there for business. She wants to be there for journalism. And that's how that's going to shape her future events and how she interacts with people out at the school and her roommates is going to affect her life. But one thing about Lila though, she's like a very sweet person, very
Yeah.
very caring person. She's like one of the people that like she does have her flaws, but like if you see all the cast in like one place, she'd be like the one like okay, she's probably this like the most unmorally great person I can see because she has really good personality. She loves people, loves making friends, all that stuff.
Where does this journey end? Where does the story end?
Vessels of Lost Paradise
Yeah.
still being written.
Okay.
I don't have a clear. I know that these people will be older by the time the story ends. Like it's not gonna be like a One Piece where like oh it's gonna go on for 1,500 chapters. No, there's gonna be a middle. There's gonna be a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
I know what the beginning is. I have all 5 chapters fleshed out, written. But the middle and the end, I'm still working on those. The ending, I know a couple of things that are gonna end. I won't go into that at all though,
Okay.
but I know these people are gonna be much better people than what they have. Some might even leave Tomodara Heights. Some people might own Tomodara Heights. Some people, there's so many possibilities for these characters, and
Right.
I have so many ideas and so many ways I want to incorporate in these characters because number one, I want to make a good story. I don't want people to like, go on Reddit and say, "Oh, I caught this mistake. This is a continuity error.
Right.
Like this
Right.
didn't exist at that time." Like, I want to make sure everything's pitch perfect. That's why I'm
Yeah.
having people like you and my friends, professional proofreaders, manga experts, read my stuff with like panel structure, wording,
Yeah.
grammar, all that stuff. I want this to be spick and span when it releases.
So let me just for the audience and those in the third chair. This is I'm gonna tell you my understanding of your story thus far, and tell me if I got it wrong. All right. So what I
Yeah.
understand, you got this individual, your main character, has this ambiguous past, trying to come to terms with who he is, where is he from, his heritage, which is a search for identity, right? You have him in a
Yeah.
place now where he understands something's going wrong, something's not right, something's off. There's something interesting about the setting he is in, right? So now he's not only searching for meaning in who he is, but he's searching for meaning in his circumstance. Okay, and that's something audiences can identify with. And we know that he completes his journey some way, somehow. Okay, by
Yes.
what means? you haven't told us yet because you haven't written the whole entire plot yet.
Hmm.
So is that a fair synopsis so far of what you said? Is that because that's my understanding of it so far?
Yes, yeah, that's actually pretty on the nail. But yeah, you got it pretty much on the nose. Basically, all these characters are going to go through, or have gone through major trauma in their life, and they're going to come together. I'm pretty sure people are asking, like, how are they going to meet all together? Well, they're all going to the same school, number one, but they're also going to be in the same dorm. If you know Persona 3, they all live in the same dorm, basically like that. They're all going to be in the
Okay.
same dorm. One floor is for girls, one floor is for boys. Not every uh, not all 10 will be in this dorm. There'll be one person that I'm specifically choosing to leave out of this conversation because he's a very important character. He will not be living in this situation, but actually, I'll kind of talk about him. Aoto Sugiyama. He's actually a very complex character. If you're looking at some of my artworks, he's the guy in the hoodie with the cigarette always in his mouth. It all makes sense.
Yeah. No, no, it does. It does. And we got a good understanding now of where your story's going. The next thing though I did really want to talk to you about was the art side of it. As far because not only, and
Ooh,
I talked
yes.
to you about this not so long ago. Uh, because not, I've told you that in comic books, your author is not normally the illustrator, right? You have two different people working on it. But you're completely unique in the fact that not only are you writing this, you are also drawing it. So walk me through that. Walk me through that. So
Yeah.
your art inspirations. Just talk to me about your art.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different manga artists that have influenced me, like with my own style. Like obviously, One Piece is a very comic and unique style. I love Eiichiro Oda's style, but my absolute favorite right now, it could change later when I read new manga, but right now, I mentioned him earlier, Tatsuki Fujimoto. He's the author of, have you heard of Chainsaw Man?
Yes.
Yeah, he's the author of Chainsaw Man and Look Back and Fire Punch. His art style is very unique. He draws faces super unique. I love his art style a lot, and the way he like renders the character's faces, especially in Look Back, the way he hatches. The term hatching is like when you like draw lines in a
Yes.
fast enough fashion, you get like shading down. I love that stuff. So if you look at my old art has definitely evolved throughout the years. So like my very first drawing of Rin Aida is actually colored, and I did not have any rendering. It was just like a couple of slabs of like a an airbrush to like get the semblance of some shading, but it did not look great at all. Now I'm rendering a panel not right now, but like I'm rendering a panel right now, and it's very fun to like with the hair highlights.
Yeah.
Like you have to know like where the sun
That's
is
tough,
facing.
dude. I mean that I mean
It's
because
tough.
especially with you having so many characters. I mean, I don't know how many people you have in each panel, but you got to have the lighting right. I mean, you can't
Yeah,
just draw a character and then copy paste them into the panel. Like, you got
exactly.
to have
So
each one down. And something that people don't appreciate enough how hard it is to illustrate hair. Like, my gosh, man,
oh
it is difficult,
yes,
and you do it so
yes.
good now. That was something I never got good at. But I mean, you did a phenomenal job with the hair and with the way you do your art. So
Thank you, thank you. I will say, long hair. I hate drawing long hair. It's actually so tough to get the details just right.
yeah,
That's why like a lot of my characters have short hair. Akamitsu, Menji, uh, basically all the dudes have shorter hair. But there's a couple of girls. Actually, there's three girls. Jurika, Lila, and Kamiko have long hair, and at the beginning, I was thinking of making them all short hair. Like this is so hard to draw. Like what am I doing? I
yeah,
can't do it. Basically tracing at this point, like trying to get like the perfect amount of hair length. But now, it's all just basically. I mean, I use a reference obviously for a lot of my drawings, but like I can draw Akamitsu like from memory now because his hair is like super. It's very basic. It's just like short hair. But with like the girls, I have to like do like certain directions. Like a good method I use is I draw arrows, and like in my sketch, like it's gonna point down this way. This side of the hair is gonna go this way, and
Yeah.
then depending on where um, their body's at, like in one of my most recent drawings, I posted a picture. Not posted. I'm not gonna post this yet, but I drew a picture of Jerica taking a selfie, and her hand is in the air, and her hair is super long, like and her hair is covering one side of her face, so only one eye is visible, kind of like
Okay.
Violet from The Incredibles, kind of like that.
Yeah.
um, but her hair, you can't just draw it like this. You have to like make sure like the position. I'm doing it like right now in my room, but if you try to envision it like you're doing a selfie, a long hair is running down your shoulder that you're taking the selfie with. That has to be in the structure. Like it has to make sense, like with the anatomy,
Right.
and that's something I've struggled with for a very long time. Like uh, I'm looking at my old art like right now. Let me pull it up.
Yeah.
Like it basically looked like they just put so much hairspray and their hair was just like a straight
Yeah.
stick.
It's
That's basically what
hard,
it was. It is very hard.
you
And, it's,
gotta,
and with the lighting, sorry, with the lighting, um, the first half of like the panels of chapter one, they're in a train. It's daytime, and then they're in front of a window or like behind a window, and it's daytime, and their hair highlights are behind their back. So you have to like memorize all these different poses and positions. Oh, is the sun coming from this side? And then when they arrive at Tomodoro Heights, it's nighttime, so you have to like figure out like what the skin color changes. Like it's a bunch of shade now, and there's not as much hair highlights anymore. It's all just like a solid color. There's a few hair highlights,
yeah.
like shadows, but like you have to. It's manga is very tough to remember all these little things. You have to like remember, yo, they're inside. They have no hair highlights because they're inside a room. It's very easy to forget. Like I have actually reworked basically all my panels because like I forgot like one lighting detail, and I had to go fix it. It's a hassle.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Um,
is. People don't realize it's so hard because you're trying to give the illusion of three dimensions using
yeah,
lines. Um, and hatching, like you said, that's one of the methods you use about that. My favorite was always cross hatching.
I love
Uh,
cross, bro.
my biggest inspiration for the art when I was into it. Now, I had got into art heavily in high school and throughout all my high school years. I loved art. I indulged myself in it. And my biggest inspiration was Jim Lee. I loved the
Yes,
way he could form such unique shapes out of scribbles. He wasn't exactly scribbling and getting shapes. I know that's a method. He wasn't exactly that, but he was always sloppy with his lines. He didn't care if they went out of bounds or if they overcrossed or whatever. It gave it a
yeah.
very jagged, rugged feel to his art, which is why I think he was perfect for the Batman
For people who don't
comics.
know,
He was, I
I
mean,
have two of Joseph's artworks. Looking at them right now, they're of my Smash Bros. Mains, Joker and Kazuya, and it's done in the perfect Jim Lee style. It's actually so cool.
yeah. And I love that art, man. My favorite medium was ink. Uh, you know,
Yes.
I didn't like adding color to them. It was just black ink, and I loved his style. And so the thing with manga is it preserves that, right? Because most manga, from what I understand, are black and white, correct?
Yes. Uh-huh. There's a few that are colored, but
Yeah,
for the most, they're all black and white.
and I love that. It gives it a very
Yes. Me
I
too.
don't some weird nostalgic, because not nostalgic because it's not like, hey, this is like 80s America nostalgia, but just the fact that it's black and white, into a time that was more simpler. You're not distracted by the colors, uh, so you get more of the story, right? Kind of like old books, how they used to have pictures in them. I know
Yeah.
we mentioned this before on the podcast, but I mean that's what I love about manga is the black and white and the style of art.
Yes. I never get tired of drawing. I'm even drawing at work sometimes, like when I'm on my lunch break. I have my iPad on me. I'm sketching panels, rendering panels. It's fun. It's fun, bro. I can't wait to
Yeah,
get this out.
I mean we're excited to see it, excited to hear about it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading it for the first time, seeing where you go with the story, seeing how it ends, the resolution, all of it. Uh,
Yeah.
you showed us your heart and you told us what it was about, how it inspired you, and I think that's awesome, man. And I
Yeah.
think it's gonna resonate with our audience. And like I said, we'll have you back on, later down the line when it's more developed and when you have more that you want to share. We'll talk about it more. But
Yeah,
uh,
next time I'm on, you're probably talking about chapter 2, because chapter 1 will
yeah,
probably be
yeah, man. So
chapter 1 this year. Write it down, mark it on your calendars. No exact date yet, but we'll get there.
yeah, we'll get there. Anyhow, thank you for taking the time, obviously, to come show with us your heart and talk to us about your manga. I mean, I know that's not takes courage to put yourself out there like that. So we thank you for coming on.
Of course, man. I had a great time. Thank you for having me. I loved it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. So that's crazy. So I'm interested inside the story that he's telling now. Like he gave little snippets, and I've seen some. I followed the link on his Instagram,
Yeah,
and I looked at it, and I'm like, all right, I could kind of like. I read some of the stuff he had on there. I was like, all right, I see what he's doing there.
yeah, pretty cool
But
stuff, man.
but I told you, dude, I consume so many stories. Like my brain is like, I'm just hope he doesn't fall into the same pattern and he finds his own story he wants to tell and his own twist on the story.
Yeah, and I think that's why what he's doing is going to work because it's not so much a story that you've heard before in the sense that it's just a copy and paste with his own style. It's his life story he's telling, albeit he hasn't lived long. We're kind of the same age, but he's gone through some things, most notably losing his dad, and he's writing a story loosely based on his life. And when you have that, there's nothing more unique than a life.
Yeah, that's true.
And so when you combine that with the cultural nuances of Japanese manga and his own spin on that, I think you get a pretty unique fingerprint there. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and then since you coming into this super blind, not knowing anything, and just hearing about all these different types of stories, dude, like there's a realm of storytelling that you haven't even experienced yet.
Oh, there's a
Not,
bunch.
but not to like. I'm not advocating for all of them to read all these different stories because some of these are pretty demonic. Some of them are just brain
Yeah.
rot,
We're not saying
and some
go
of
out
them,
and buy a
and a
Death
lot of
Note
them are
book.
perverting.
Oh yeah, there's Lord Tai, as some people call it. But yeah, we're not telling you to go out and buy a book about demon possession. There's use wisdom
Yeah,
and
use
discernment.
wisdom. Oh, dude, there's another one called Batum, and it's
Batum.
it's kind of like boom, but with a T.
Okay.
Batum,
Okay.
and that one is a survival island manga where a bunch of civilians get thrown on an island and they have to kill each other for battle royale, but they have to use weapons. So it's kind of like the gaming genre of a battle royale. Have you ever played a battle royale?
I have.
It's the same thing, but an anime form.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where battle royales first started. Isn't like kind of like there's a story, like an
Yeah.
actual book. I have it. It's called Battle Royale,
Wow.
and it's about inch and a half, almost 2 inches thick. Dude,
So is that where
I
the
had,
genre originated from?
Yes,
Wow.
I believe that's where I think it originally came from there, and then it became into like PUBG and all that stuff, and then
Yeah.
Hunger Games kind of style.
This was the Digestible podcast with Joseph as your host. So take what you heard and pass on your own point of view. We want to say thank you for being the third chair. This was produced by his Uncle Poe as the sometimes guest. song should have faded off, but if you're hearing this, Joseph didn't edit it correctly. Let him know you heard this Easter egg in the comments.